Let's do this. This is the Oz report for now already June 17th because it's past midnight Eve time, and we're going to start with items that are trending up. And I mentioned this earlier. We're seeing a lot of advanced moon materials trending up, and this is because of the new expansion. We not only have tier 2 dreads, but we also have significant changes to the blueprints for other capital ships, and that is making some ships cheaper. A lot of ships cheaper. We're probably going to see increased production, and that is driving up raw material prices. Overall, we're seeing raw moon materials up 6%. We're seeing advanced moon materials up 35%. We're seeing salvage up 7%. So a lot of the raw materials are rising in price, indicating production stimulation from the new expansion. What we're also seeing trending up is some Dead Space modules. We always see them. I never get tired of mentioning this, but Dead Space modules are a fantastic investment item because they are in limited supply, and they just go up and down based on the fit of the month that is currently popular. And most of them are great. In this case, for example, something like the Centum A-type explosive energized membrane that is up 90% versus last week just shows you how quickly they can spike and sell out. That's because their supply is not infinite, right? And they can't be just manufactured. They're dropped from Dead Space sites. We're seeing some planetary commodities increasing. PI has gotten their volume halved in the Viridian expansion. That is very, very significant for production logistics, and so we're seeing a lot of spikes there as people are using them to produce more. This certainly is also another stimulant for production in EVE right now that came through the new expansion. Other than that, test culture is another PI component that is rising here. Let's look at trending down. What is dropping? We're seeing some gas clouds there. That's over speculation from people that were speculating that the tier 2 dreads or maybe other production changes would rely more heavily on gas clouds. So this is investors selling off. Lots of spikes there. Other than that, atmospheric gases are some additional raw materials that are dropping because they are needed less now with the production changes that came. Fullerite C50, another gas cloud material that is trending down, and other than that, heavy water is just an ice product that is trending down, but those are just regular spikes, I think, from the previous weeks. If we're looking at the highest trade volume versus yearly average, so what is trading highest versus its 52-week average, and there we're still talking agency boosters. We have talked agency boosters for weeks here, and that's because they were dropping very heavily from the Capsuleer Day, and they're still being sold off as their prices have also significantly dropped. So the availability of these is very, very spiky, always during events. So this is the same that we've seen in past weeks. If we're looking at items that are in short supply, so what is if we're looking at the available trade days, so the available sell orders compared to the daily trade volume, we're seeing that, funny enough, the Raven is pretty much gone from the market. And that has absolutely something to do with the Tranquility trading tower going down or being war decked and possibly will be going down very shortly, and this is people gearing up with the right ships. I'm pretty sure that Feroxes and other ships that might be very, might be very popular in joining that that Keepstar Siege in Perimeter are going to be very, very popular and are going to be disappearing from the market here very quickly. This is something very, very, very temporary. If you have ravens lying around right now, is the time to put them up. And certainly, as somebody's saying in chat, Leshaks will be up there on the list as well, just a lot more expensive. Plex is always in this list, but right now with the 20% sale in the New Eden store on Omega, it's even more in short supply than it always is. This is in combination with the skill extractor sale that we already saw 2 weeks ago. Overall, Plex prices have been rising again over the last few days, and the supply is even shorter than it usually is. Again, we're seeing some dead space modules here, but nothing too strange there. Some other modules here. The Ishtar, incidentally, is a cruiser that's also here. That is just very, very popular in null ratting. Then we have the list of items that had the largest drop in supply. So these are the items that have had the most of their supply and sell orders disappear over the last week. And there we're seeing the Raven again. So, very similar. Here we're also seeing the Tornado for probably the same reason. We're seeing hydrogen fuel blocks. This is because reaction materials have increased in price, and the demand on them has increased significantly. So people are buying fuel blocks for reactions, is my assumption here. We're seeing again the organic mortar applicators. PI goods disappearing from the market. They're easier to move now, and production has increased on them, or using them. Isogen has had a very large drop in supply, which is interesting because Isogen was a major bottleneck in the past. The Viridian expansion has increased the supply of Isogen in the game through new types of, or through increased asteroid numbers. And so on Isogen, we should see an increased supply, but this is possibly somebody just buying out the market to prepare production of tier 2 dreads or other capital ships, or even other ships that have had now changed blueprints through the Viridian expansion. And then last but not least, we have the most underpriced items versus the 52-week average. So these are items that where the current price is the lowest compared to the yearly average. And here you're seeing, something like the agency drugs. Again, Pyrolantia Dose 1 is trading at 66% of its usual price. And that's just an invitation to invest right now, because these are, these are cyclical items. They're temporarily low. Pyrolantia Dose 1, it's an easy buy right now. Overclocker Dose 2, these are all items that are trading over $1 billion a day and are just cheap in price right now. Again, dead space modules here that are probably a good investment right now. The Pith X-Type X-Large Shield Booster, for example. Interestingly enough, the Federation Navy Comet is also on here, but that's probably has something to do with LP trade-ins, where the market gets flooded every once in a while, and the prices drop then, and everything else here is agency boosters, like the Hardshell Dose 3 and the Pyrolantia Dose 2, right? So those are just really good investments. Before I wrap up the Oz report, let me switch over to the game client here. And we're going to have a quick look at large skill injectors. Large skill injectors, a major trade item, the second largest trade item in the game. I've been saying for a while now, that there should be downward pressure on large skill injectors. If you listen to the Oz report regularly, then you know this. This is fairly easy to explain, as the price of skill extractors was halved 2 weeks ago for a significant amount of time. A lot of people took advantage of this. A lot of people took advantage of this for skill farms they're running. So where they are plexing alt accounts and extracting the ISK generated through various sales. That skill farming formula of turning ISK into, or Plex into skill points, was very, very, very profitable. And so that increases the generation of large skill injectors significantly, and an increased supply is going to result into a dropped price. And so this, what we're seeing right now, is the absolute logical thing that you would expect. I was surprised it was taking this long, but apparently enough people were still buying them or hoarding them. Now we're seeing prices drop pretty quickly. On Plex itself, we have crossed the 5 million again, right now at 4.999. If you're looking at the current price as of recording. The reason for that being that we left the 4.5 million equilibrium that we were seeing for a month on end during the skill extractor sale 2 weeks ago, where it jumped up to 5 or even 5.5 million. I made some sales even over 6 million. So there was some market panic going on there because a lot of people needed the Plex to buy the 2-for-1 skill extractors. After that, it fell down way below 5 million very, very quickly. And now with the 20% Omega sale going on, it's rising again. So I mentioned this earlier on my stream. Plex used to be something that was fairly steady and very much, it was difficult to make money on these fluctuations because it was much more steady. Now we're seeing a lot more CCP sales. We're seeing a lot more CCP intervention in this, not because they're managing the Plex price, but more because they're trying to increase subscription numbers, and they're trying to increase the amount of Plex that gets actually used in game. And so now buying and selling Plex and making money off that fluctuation is becoming much more realistic. So it's not really something that I can advise against anymore, because it's almost required if you're doing large scale investing in EVE Online. And last but not least, the skill extractors, they were at their equilibrium that we were used to over the last few months, around 500 million. They dropped down to the 300 something million during the 2-for-1 sale 2 weeks ago, as you would expect. They recovered quite nicely over 400 million, and now they're dropping down a little bit, but over time they're going to be recovering back to the direction of 500. I don't know if they're going to reach 500 this time, because there's just so many out there now, but maybe the destruction of the TTT will help eliminating some of them. All right. Even though most of them will probably get asset safety, because we likely won't see an abandoned structure. All right, so that's the Oz report for June 17th. By the way, last week we didn't have an Oz report because I was on vacation, but now we should be having one every week again, including next week. Next week, by the way, if you're interested, either next week or the week after, we're going to have CCP Ratati on the stream again. And don't forget that this week the Excel add-in also becomes available for everyone. So make sure you look out for a CCP stream there on this coming Tuesday. I'll be a guest on there. All right, I'm going to return to the regular stream. I'll see you guys next week.